But then he started weighing it. Okay, if I get married, what is the cost of me, checking out of the game? Potential divorce, potential dealing with a woman that might become combative. Because we can argue that in the beginning, everybody can check all the boxes. And it's just in my experience, I think people been married for 5 to 10 years on here probably can vouch. Over time, the person that you're dealing with could be unbecoming of a wife, or there's. If y'all want me to stop, I'll stop. Go ahead. I think it's rude to do that, but go ahead.
Give a little bit of context as to what was going on with those face expressions.
Nigga, every time we talk about marriage, you always have to talk about divorce. No one, like psychologically, we cannot think about marriage without thinking about divorce because people keep doing it. Every single time one of these men on the internet that want to be internet famous gets on marriage, they have to talk about divorce and combative women. And I'm like I was cool. Like y'all saw me, y'all were cool. And then, you gotta think about divorce. And then combative women, people that don't want to submit and be cooperative.
It's hard to kind of put this out there because when you say it, men don't necessarily want to hear it. But men can absolutely level the playing field. They just don't. They don't want to get prenups. They don't want to learn the laws. They don't want to talk to attorneys before they get married. They see a girl and they fall in love and, their nose is wide open and the girl's, oh, well, let's get married. And the guy's like, okay. And then he goes to the altar and then he gets married. And then 7 years later, he wonders why he's in a world of trouble. He's just not prepared. That's the thing. If men could prepare themselves, it's not like the legal system would be nearly as biased against them if and in terms of their finances, in terms of what happens in their divorce case, as it would be if they're not prepared. So, if the question is does the legal system discourage men? To be fair, I guess I would say no, just because men can get things like prenups to make their marriages fair. In fact, men can structure their prenups so that men are favored, but they just don't. They're worried that if they bring up the prenup, then the woman's she's gonna shuck and jive and she's gonna go away and she's not gonna marry him, and he's gonna lose that girl forever. And so men don't even think about prenups. They never go to attorneys to learn, what can I put in a prenup? What needs to stay out of a prenup? I don't have any money. Should I get a prenup? They never talk about these things with attorneys. They might get on YouTube and listen to Andrew Tate or something, but they're not going to subject matter experts. So, I always want to say, because, people know that I'm a divorce attorney and they assume that I'm against marriage, and that's just not the case. I remember when I was on the dating scene and, I tell these women what I do. I'm a lawyer. Oh, what type of law do you do? Oh, I do divorce law. And then it's just silence. And then the question that I always get is, oh, well, are you jaded? Are you jaded against marriage? Because, of course, these women want to get married, right? And the answer is no. I am pro-marriage. I think tons and tons of people should get married. Now, I'm also pro-divorce, all right? Sometimes you got to get out of that thing. I'm equally biased on both sides. I was married for 10 years and started out pretty good, I suppose. But in the end, I had to get that girl up out of there. And that's fine. I'm not bitter about it. She's not bitter about it. Stuff doesn't work out sometimes, and that's life. And you keep it moving and you keep living. So I'm pro-marriage. And I think marriage can absolutely be fair to men as long as men get married on their terms. And if men get married with no prenup, they are not getting married on their terms. They are getting married on the woman's terms. So, can a man get married on the woman's terms and expect fairness? The answer is no. So it kind of depends on, how you want
like that one.
Yeah, it's deep.
Yeah, so it's fascinating that you said that, because it almost feels like the men are so mesmerized by the beauty and what they have, and it completely shuts off any interest or caution to protect themselves before moving ahead. Like, I didn't know that it was that. I thought maybe it was just lack of knowledge or lack of experience. But if you're saying the woman is beautiful and they don't want to be alone, or they don't want to risk losing her, so they don't even allow their memory bandwidth to compensate for the fact that, hey, look, I need to look at the legal side of this before I make a decision. So that's pretty fascinating. Are we ready to deal with conflict when we deal with a woman? We have to put those things into play, into the thought process when making these decisions. That's why a person like me who done that is able to have a lasting marriage versus yourself who failed at marriage.
Really, nigga?
You didn't think about these things.
Let's talk about divorce.
Excuse me.
Let's talk about your divorce. Let's talk about your divorce.
Excuse me.
Did you want to talk about my divorce? Let's talk about divorce.
Excuse me. I wasn't finished talking.
No,
excuse me. I wasn't finished talking.
Let's bring up your
excuse me. I was not finished talking.
What's your first wife leave you
Excuse me, let me finish talking.
Why your first wife leave you, Darwin?
I should let you know that it's poor etiquette to interrupt when somebody's talking. I let you finish talking. Can you let me finish talking?
You keep bringing up my divorce.
Can you let me finish talking?
You keep bringing up my failure.
Can you let me finish talking?
Also,
you're showing your true nature, man. Just let me finish talking, and I won't interrupt you when you talk.
That's fine.
Thank you. Which experience do I?
Hey man, shout out to our boy Darwin, man. Hey dude, he's coming here with a banger. Hey, now listen, I saw this on No Cap Shack a couple of days ago, and I just said, you know what? It would just be best, right? It would just be best if I freaking react to this joint, man. If I freaking react to this, and lo and behold, the dude dropped the video. So, and man, of course, we got to jump right into it now. Of course, here's the reason why we have to talk about divorce, right? Here's the reason why we got to talk about divorce when we're talking about marriages, right? Is for the simple fact that 70 to 80% of your women initiate divorce. Right, a lot of these women, you're gonna hear Miss, I think her name is, you have Miss Taken. She is just saying that, well, if most of our conversations when it's around marriages, if it's mainly a scare tactic, right, then we could just sit here and say, right, that this is a bad faith argument, and all you're doing is just trying to scare this person out of marrying a woman. And that's not the case, when we already know that your men are going to, we're going to go ahead and put the forefront of divorce and all of that stuff, but we're also going to teach our young boys the type of woman that to look for. But it's only women, right? It's only our sisters, it's only women in general, right? Here in America, they will say stuff that goes without saying, right? So, you shouldn't want to sit here and you shouldn't want to just talk to, these people about, divorce, right? It shouldn't be just about divorce. Of course, nobody's just going to be talking to somebody just about divorce. We're also going to talk about communication, about everything that leads up to why divorce happens, right? But it's only these women that you will see on these type of panels that will sit here and say, well, no, let's not really worry about the negative. Let's constantly focus on the positive. But when you look at somebody like Bo, you see why women are divorced. You see why women can't find relationships, can't find a man, can't stay in a relationship, because they're very combative. They're very argumentative, right? And these are the same women that will initiate the divorce. These are the same women that will initiate the divorce, people. These are the same women that will sit here, cry, complain about men always talking about divorce, men being on red pill, but yet these are the same women that we are talking about. But they're so delusional, they can't see that. They feel like they were always in the right, and that's a sad thing about it, right? Especially with somebody like Bo. I really didn't, on my other channel, I really didn't, focus too much on the Peef Network, but, now that I'm, truly doing a bunch of videos on the Peef Network, I'm seeing how Bo really acts, and it's just sad because, once again, guys, I would say majority of your sisters walk around with this type of mindset. They always want to walk around, be a victim. They always want to say that they're, men are the issue and this, that, and the third. And from all of the videos that I've pretty much reacted to that, that Bo is in, every single time she argues with somebody is nothing of substance. It's nothing of substance.
You came up with this really nice face and smile and stuff, and I was like, oh, he looks so kind. And then you proceeded to call me stupid, and I'm just trying to figure out.
I never called you stupid.
Stupid and emotional.
I never called you stupid.
And I'm just trying to figure out. I had these very
emotional.
nice thoughts about you, and now I'm having very unnice thoughts about you. And I am going to shut my mouth now because I don't enjoy being called stupid nor emotional, because I was not being emotional at all in that moment. I was just stating what I heard. I understood what people were saying, and all I was doing was explaining that and how a conversation is supposed to go. That's all I did. Now I am going to keep my unkind thoughts to myself. Since you have been so unkind, I will leave you to do that by yourself.
All right. Okay, Bo. Let me say this. I apologize if you took offense to that. That was not directed to you.
It's not an apology.
Even when True argues, he argues with something of substance. And he argues, he's a real chill dude, right? And so there's times where he does argue with people, but it's always on topic. A lot of people argue things that are on topic. Bo, she just takes everything she just takes things to the left, right? I mean, it's great for content, right? It's great for content, but I mean, once again, she still takes away from the conversation. This is the second time we done did a video with Bo in it, and she's literally moved the goalpost to something that has nothing to do with the conversation. And she then wonders why people look at it the way we do, because look at how you act. I mean, people, just look at these videos of how these women act when it comes down to them having to sign a prenup. That should already be a sign in of itself that, hey, this might go down the wrong path. But look.
So how you feel about prenuptial agreements in marriage?
Do we really gotta go there?
Yes, that's part of marriage. Part of kids, that's everything. That's everything in one.
Because you think marriage is a contract. That's what you think.
Yes, it is. We haven't been together all my life, correct? Mm-hmm. Like, to me, I feel like it'll be different if me and you started when I was 18, going through college, my college sweetheart. Oh, it wouldn't be no question. Like, nothing.
So what you're saying is I wasn't with you shooting in the gym?
I was gonna be a little more easier. I was. But yes, technically, yes.
I personally don't think that marriages should have one.
So if something was to happen, would you just take the house from me? Would you take the house? Would you take the kids? Would you take the cars?
No, you know I'm not even that type of person.
Let me see your prenup. Show it to
Why
me.
you gotta curse so much?
Stand that our wedding is weeks away.
Yeah, we can have the prenup drawn up in less than 7 days.
Say our relationship is a negotiation. Is that what you're saying?
What?
You say how you think it.
Everything's
you think
business,
everything
baby.
is.
Get one thing straight, baby. You met me knowing what I was building. I'm a businessman.
What are you talking about?
You weren't helping me conduct the business.
Oh, I wasn't helping you conduct business. That's I'm retarded.
Yeah, baby.
I bust my ass so hard and you know it.
Ooh wee! Look what that money make a bitch do.
Dang, boy, she is going this hard, bro, over a prenup.
But my question is, why do we really need one? But why are you already thinking about that?
Babe, it's something I have to think about. I don't know why Danny's so surprised. A prenup's obviously something that we need to have in place.
I'm just not sure if you're doing this because you don't trust me or you're not sure about our future.
Well, I think you're overthinking it.
It's not. I didn't even think about that. You're the one thinking about that.
It's just the reality of what makes sense.
Once again, guys, these are the same women that will sit here and tell you, hey, you shouldn't want to deal with these certain women. Hey, you shouldn't want to talk about divorce. But yet these are the main ones that will initiate divorce. Come on, bro. But let's continue.
I want to choose the experience of being able to have novelty and do what I want, and the experience to go, let me go ahead and tap into this experience of marriage. At that point, it's case by case basis, not you can't generalize it. It depends on if he still want to be fulfilled by just being able to knock down any joint that he passed by, or whether or not he want to check out and go ahead and deal with this woman. But then he start weighing, okay, if I get married, what is the cost of me, checking out of the game? Potential divorce, potential dealing with a woman that might become combative. Because we can argue that in the beginning, everybody can check all of the boxes. And it's just in my experience, I think people been married for 5 to 10 years on here probably can vouch. Over time, the person that you're dealing with could be unbecoming of a wife, or there's. If y'all want me to stop, I'll stop. Go ahead. I think it's rude to do that, but go ahead.
Well, look, as far as the statement was, as far as knowing, I don't know about knowing, but you have an idea. In my opinion, most men have an idea, but you got to continue to do your research. But I think most guys have an idea.
Hey, Dara, no, I was just showing her face expression. That wasn't for you to stop talking. I was just showing her face expression to what you were saying, but you can go ahead and finish. I wasn't. She just was reacting and real animated, so I was trying to.
No, go to her because she sounds like she got a lot to say. Go ahead.
Bohemian, did you want to give a little bit of context as to what was going on with those face expressions?
Nigga, every time we talk about marriage, you always have to talk about divorce. No one, like psychologically, we cannot think about marriage without thinking about divorce because people keep doing it. Every single time one of these men on the internet that want to be internet famous gets on marriage, they have to talk about divorce and combative women. And I'm like I was cool. Like y'all saw me, y'all cool. And then, you gotta think about divorce. And then combative women, people that don't want to submit and be cooperative. We could just talk about marriage. Like if that's the goal, because literally, I think what set me off is that everything was so positive, right? Like everybody was giving like these answers about how men view women when they first meet them. And then we have to be met with divorce. When we're talking about marriage, we're talking about marriage. Divorce is divorce. That's a completely different subject. And if you want people, especially the people who are advocating for nuclear families and marriage and women need to be wives and men need to be husbands, why keep bringing up divorce? That psychologically, that does something to people. If you keep that in the conversation, people are going to always be scared to get married. And then the things that you're talking about are null. You might as well shut the fuck up talking about marriage and just talk about divorce because you're scaring the shit out of people. And also, if you want men to marry these wife-like women, why keep talking about combative women? We're not talking about them. We're talking.
Bo says we can't stop talking about divorce because people keep doing it. Well, ma'am, let me correct you. It's not people keep doing it. It's the majority of women that are doing it, 70 to 80% to be exact. And it seems that a lot of your black women are divorcing at a higher rate than any other race of women. But it's just so funny that these are the same women that swear up and down, hey, we don't need to have the conversation about divorce when this is coming from a woman who is divorced. It's easy to say that we don't need to talk about divorce, that we should constantly just only focus on marriage when your assets aren't the one that's on the line. When child custody is on the line for you, right? When you already know for a fact you're going to get custody of the child, right? Because you're a woman, right? It's easy to say that when nothing that you put into the relationship or the marriage is going to be up for grabs. Maybe a little bit, right? Once again, we understand a little bit, but we already understand that men who generally goes through divorces, they lose out on a lot. Not just the money, not just the house, not just the cars, that everything that they pay for, but they're going to lose out on quality time with their children, especially if you're dealing with a woman who is like Bo. But once again, people like Bo would think that, hey, well, I'm just this goody two shoes, I'm this, I'm that. Once again, these are your type of women who will literally come out here and will seem innocent and this, that, and the third. But literally the second you start to talk to them and you start to really understand who they are, you're like, okay, this person got problems, right? But they will always come out and make it seem as if they don't. They're just one of your modest sisters that's just innocent and this, that, and the third one. That's just not the case. And all she is doing is just proving, her and Miss Taken, all they're doing is just proving our point as to why we say women do not belong in the workforce. Women do not belong being managers. Women do not belong leading a group a group of anybody. Women don't belong in the military because they are just too emotional. People, there are tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of female employees, managers who literally think just like Bo. And this is, we always walked on eggshells, people. We always walk on eggshells. Once again, these women don't think far enough ahead. Oh, we should only just worry about marriage, right? But divorce happens. And then these same women who say you shouldn't really worry about divorce are the same ones who will sit here and cry and complain when you bring up, hey, well, you need to sign this prenup. They'll be the same ones that say, well, you bringing up prenup, you that means you probably already anticipating divorce. No, I'm just looking out for myself. Nah, see, we shouldn't even be bringing up divorce. Listen, people, y'all saw the videos, man. Women will try to make excuses. Women will literally try to make excuses. But then once the shit hit the fans, then guess what? Right? Then guess what? Now y'all sitting in court, sitting over here fighting over who's going to get an estate of what, how much money she's going to swindle out of you. And you just got to ask, where did all of that, or you weren't going to take advantage of me? You weren't jumping into the marriage for the money. You're not marrying me for the money. Now all of a sudden we divorced. You want 90% of the damn custody. You want alimony. You want child support. You want all of this money. Once again, people, sign that prenup. And I get it, lead attorney, and once again, he's an attorney, so I ain't going to really argue on him about much of anything. Because his biggest thing is that, hey man, listen, a lot of us guys allow women to run all over us, but it's just like, once again, man, I mean, we are seeing way too many women take advantage. And granted, I get it, right? I get it. Hey man, listen, you might need to take, more steps into making sure you get ahead of this. And, this is where you have some guys who put themselves on child support before the woman even does it. And it's just like, once again, we're just proactive, but you still see a lot of men are failing even when they are proactive. It's just sad, right? I mean, here's a video, if I can find it, but here's a video of a guy who literally is being alienated from his child because his baby mother is just being extra, right? And all of the things he had to do to go through court just so he can see the baby. Just look at it.
So there's been an update to the dad that I posted the other day, Cortez. He went to court and it didn't go well. Here's the video.
What's good, family? I just got out of court. It did not go how I wanted it to go, but I'm finna let y'all know exactly what went down and the bull crap that has to keep continuing to go on with this situation. So I got here early, family. Court started at 8:30. I got here at 8:25, signed in. I sat there, we waited for about 45 minutes to an hour. She didn't show up, so I'm thinking, okay, she's not showing up. So they finally called my name. I go up there, I tell them I'm here, They said, have you seen mom? I was like, no, I haven't seen her. About 15 more minutes go by, they call me back. So I go back there, I raise my right hand, tell them everything's true, all that. Her attorney was there. I didn't even know she had an attorney. You know what I'm saying? This, cause she had one for Walker County. I didn't know she had one for Hamilton County. This is a new person. And we was in front of a new judge today, okay? So she started going on with her case, talking about they had a TPO out in Walker County. Like I said, I got it dismissed, which I told her, I said, I got it dismissed. Then her attorney said they petitioned to get that extended. So they trying to keep this TPO against me going. I have not seen these people. So what are y'all doing? So then I was notified by the judge, cause y'all, I've been fighting this fight, all this fight by myself. No attorney, no judge. Now, when I had a criminal case that she tried to get on me, I got an attorney. I got one. I paid $3,500 to get a criminal case. She tried to get me falsely arrested for assault, aggravated assault. And I got that dropped. Now she had court today at 1:30 for that case because she had false reports and she got locked up for that. So now she's here and her attorney said she couldn't make it today because she had a court date later on, which was for false reports. So continue walking with me, y'all. So they stated that I motioned wrong. You can't motion for a contempt of court, and you can't motion for a new custody agreement, which I was known, and they said I need an attorney. So what her lawyer tried to do was drop my 15th case, because they was like, well, we're going to push this to the 15th. And then her lawyer talked about, we need to drop that case because we have something going on. Can we push it back further? So they just trying to keep pushing this back to make it worse for me. So now, family, I appreciate all the love trying to give me gifts and wish lists for my baby. Now I need money for an attorney. I need to have an attorney before the 15th of this month. We still got the 15th date, but now she has an attorney, and that attorney on some bull crap. So now we're gonna have to either save up something. We gotta get us an attorney for the 15th, because this don't make no sense. I came in there with all of my proof, months of proof, and it still don't matter. I should be walking out with my baby. I should be, I'm not trying to be mad about this, y'all, but I'm getting more and more frustrated because it's like 5.5 months. I ain't seen my child, and y'all still giving me the loops. I'm a dad, bro. I miss my baby. So with that being said, y'all, and then what they tried to tell me was I can't post videos on social media no more. Like I told them, I'm a content creator. I've been doing this before her. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, my mouth dry. That's how you know I'm woo. But like I told them, nah, I do this. I don't talk about that girl. I don't talk bad about her. I don't bash her. My family don't even talk. We don't talk nothing down on these people. I talk about my experiences that I'm going through. The stress, the hell that I gotta put up with. And it's a lot, and it's continuing to go on. So, family, let me calm down. Let me let it go. Court is done. It didn't go how I wanted it to, but it's all right. I'm gonna keep fighting. I'm not gonna give up. Bro, I'm about to be in this thing in tears because I'm stressed. I am tired. I am mentally distraught. But to my family, if y'all want to support me, we need an attorney by the 15th of this month. We need an attorney by August 15th because that's when I'm finna go to court and we finna blow the waters out. I need the best attorney. I don't care if you watching me in Chattanooga. If you seen this video in Chattanooga, Tennessee, if you're an attorney, please text me, get in my DMs. I need you for the 15th. I got all this information. We got us a fight right here. This ain't no play. I've been trying. Please contact me. I love y'all. It didn't go how I wanted it to, but it ain't done. The fight is not over. The fight is not over. I love y'all. Stay blessed. What's good, family? I have amazing news. As y'all can see, the car seat is turned around and my beautiful baby is in the car seat. I deleted my last video because there is a gag order in place, which meaning I can't talk about anything that's going on in court, and I respect my lawyer enough, and she tells me everything I need to know. So I did take that video down because it was really the fight is about my baby. My baby is home. I get to see my baby, and I got 8 days with my baby. I get to make up time with her. So we finna enjoy our time. We just made it back to my mom's house. We finna get out, and I'm finna show y'all my beautiful baby. Hold on.
Daddy, you ready to talk with Daddy? Hi, Poo-Poo. Hi, say I'm home with you, my daddy. Hey, Naomi. We made it. Oh.
Alright, y'all, we at my mama's house, but I kind of got to calm down because she's still trying to get to know her. She been crying, but it kind of hurt because it's like my baby don't even know who I am, but I'm going to build that connection. I'm going to build that bond. So it's okay. I got my baby home. I can't wait to build the connection. My family is going to build that connection with her, and she going to know who her family really is. So from here going forward, y'all will see me making content with my baby and us growing our relationship. So I love y'all. This is the update for today. I got my baby for the whole week all the way into Saturday. So this is going to be a great week. Let's get it. Let's go.
People, I mean, like, what sense does that make? So now I have to see. So when I sit here and look at the lead attorney, because he's not the only man who goes through that. If I can find another video of a guy who's sitting in court who is going back and forth with the judge because he's like, dog, y'all trying to take all of this money away from me. Y'all trying to take all of this money away from me, and I'm willing to work with you guys, and y'all still taking more money away from me, and y'all not even trying to work with me.
How am I to support my children? I barely make $2,600 take home after I pay Amy and the courts and everything else. And now on top of it, I'm gonna have $1,100. My rent is $1,000. Like I just don't understand how, and that's why I got so upset. And I do apologize. But everything that's came out of her lawyer's mouth is to belittle me and make me look like I'm not a good father, and I am. She literally, she's an RN or an LPN, Your Honor, and she has not worked in 4 years, 3 years. I understand that she has another child, but that child is not my responsibility whatsoever. I take care of my 2 children, and I struggle doing it, but I do it. She's taken my kids from me to where I can't talk to them, so I had to file a motion. I filed the motion. I'm doing everything as a father, and it just keeps taking and taking and taking. She has a husband that she can rely on. I have nobody. I have me. And it's frustrating. So yes, I did get a little. My mouth gets the best of me sometimes, but I'm trying. And it went from $650. I'm paying $722 plus I pay $135. I have my kids on my insurance. So on top of that, it's going up almost double. And I barely make.
So when it comes down to lead attorney, I get what he's saying, and I'm not going to disagree with it. But also at the same time, when we look at, you can't go against experience. You can't go against, facts. You can't go against what men are actually going through, right? Where they're trying to get custody of their children, where they're trying to go out the way to have, all of this visitation rights and do all of this stuff. And you then see them trying to be proactive about it, and women still jump all over it. Women still pull a rug from up under him. The court still put a rug from up under him. So then Bo wants to sit here and say that constantly talking about divorce psychologically messes with people and messes up people. The only people it messes with are women, because women are the main ones who initiate it. And then on top of that, when it's all said and done, they understand that, hey, I should not have divorced this man. This is why I'm going through what I'm going through, right? This is why I'm feeling the pain and the wrath that I'm freaking feeling. For men, psychologically, it's going to do something well for them, because they're going to have a sixth sense on, hey, well, listen, this is how I need to approach the relationship. This is how I should approach a marriage. But when you have women who are like Bo, they try to derail men, and this is how men get caught up. This is how men get put in situations they don't want to be in. Let's continue.
Talking about the women that you want to marry. This is counterproductive. It has no place in this conversation at all whatsoever. So that's really what my facial expressions were about. It was stupid, with all due respect. I don't know if I can find any in the room, because I don't like this divorce conversation when we're talking about marriage, when we're supposed to be marriage minded, when we're supposed to be advocating for marriage. Let the niggas that are hurt and harmed by divorce, and they got this arrested development, let them talk about that over there. But we are supposed to be talking about marriage and bringing families together, right? I mean, that's what I thought we were doing in this moment, at least. So why the fuck is we talking about combative women and divorce?
Well, let me answer the question. So why did I mention divorce? Why did I mention combative? Couple of things. Number one, because I can. Who can stop me? Number two, if you feel like that's not what you want to hear, you can remove your ass from the conversation. Nobody's gonna bat an eye. Number three, he asks from a man's perspective. What goes through a man's mind when he's thinking about getting married? And to be genuine about this conversation, you would have to factor in the risk. Unfortunately, women do not think the way we think. This is exposing that we think very different, y'all. We actually look at the risk when we're making a decision like this. Y'all don't, because divorce is a good thing for y'all. If it's a good thing if it fails, according to the probability and the likelihood in most cases. Not all, but most cases. That's why men think about those things, because innately, it is natural for us to have novelty. Whenever we get in a marriage, we got to discipline ourselves to the restrictions of a marriage. So we have to consider the factors. Are we actually ready? Can we be emotionally, can we be loyal? Can we be faithful to just one woman and restrict ourselves to that? Are we ready to lead a household? Are we ready to deal with conflict when we deal with a woman? We have to put those things into play, into the thought process when making these decisions. That's why a person like me who done that is able to have a lasting marriage versus yourself who failed at marriage because you didn't think about these things.
Let's talk about divorce.
Excuse me.
Let's talk about your divorce.
Excuse me.
Did you want to talk about my divorce? Let's talk about divorce.
Excuse me. I wasn't finished talking.
No,
excuse me. I wasn't finished talking.
Let's bring up your
excuse me. I was not finished talking.
What's your first wife leave you
Excuse me, let me finish talking.
Why your first wife leave you, Darwin?
I should let you know that it's poor etiquette to interrupt when somebody's talking. I let you finish talking. Can you let me finish talking?
You keep bringing up my divorce.
Can you let me finish talking?
You keep bringing up my failure.
Can you let me finish talking?
Also,
you're showing your true nature, man. Just let me finish talking, and I won't interrupt you when you talk.
That's fine.
Thank you. If you don't want to hear it, you can remove yourself.
I want us to be on the same page of our failures.
We're not on the same page. I'm a married man. You're living in your failure, and you're trying to shoot. You're trying to shoot
in your failure too.
You're living in your failure.
You know how you living in your motherfucking
You're living in your failure.
Let's see now. We finna do this.
Can you please just let me finish talking? I respected you whenever you were talking. But you barked up the wrong tree, and now your panties is wet right now.
So go ahead and just Darwin.
You can just be quiet. You can be quiet and let me finish talking. You can have the floor.
Here's the thing: I don't submit to you.
Can you have some decorum and let another panelist talk?
I
respected the platform, not necessarily you. I respected the platform to allow you to finish speaking, so that the podcast continue to be effective for those who want to listen. But what you're doing is you're being a statue in New York. You're
We
being
are
that
talking
you're
about
being
our
that overweight
failed
statue in New
marriages.
York
Let's
right now.
talk about our failed marriages.
Can you let me finish what
Can
I
we
was
talk
saying,
about
and then
our
you can
failed
ask?
marriages?
Can you let me finish what I'm saying, and you can ask me questions about failed marriage?
No, because you brought up me and my failure. So let's talk
I'll
about
let you
yours.
go ahead and talk. You go ahead and talk.
No, let's talk about your failed marriage as well. You keep talking about this successful ass marriage, and just because I have not married again, I'm living in my failure. I'm living in my fucking success. I chose myself. That doesn't have shit to do with anything. But let's talk about why the fuck you got left. Did she file or did you file? Let's talk about that, since you always want to bring up somebody's divorce. Because you are a divorced man. Your ass got left or left. We don't know.
Are you finished talking?
So don't bring up my motherfucking divorce again. Don't bring up my divorce again unless you're ready to talk about yours.
Once again, guys, y'all don't think videos like these women who are up here just divorcing men all willy-nilly for no reason, you don't think that psychologically messes with men?
It was the things that he said in the way that made me feel. That's the reason why I'm not with him today. And one of those things that he said to me was when we were already splitting up and I was moving out, and I was telling him like, hey, you know, we don't need to do a nasty divorce, but like, you do need to like give me some money to go on about my way, because I've been a stay-at-home mom for the past year and a half, and I don't have anything to show for that year where I could have been earning money. I was at home taking care of us. Like, you got to work because of my sacrifice, so I deserve something. And like, nothing unreasonable, but just something so that I can breathe, so that I'm not like paycheck to paycheck, literally. And he told me, he said, and I also said that, yeah, I didn't work, but like I provided value because I gave birth to 2 children and I raised them. And I helped with family life. And his answer was, what you did, that's not how value works. What you did didn't have any value because there was a lot of women who wanted to give me kids.
I'll keep it 100, man. I had a conversation with my wife, you know, and I just told her, man, I just woke up one day and, you know, I can't do this no more. I can't do this husband and father thing no more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm leaving her. I'm leaving the kids with her. And, you know, I just got to do my own thing, because I just woke up one day and I was just like, something don't feel right. You know, something don't feel right. I need to do something different. I need to find myself. That sounds real stupid coming out of my mouth, doesn't it? As a man, that sounds really stupid, but it just sounds just as stupid coming from a woman's mouth as well, you know. But when I went to that comment section of that lady that said that, there's nothing but praise in there. You know, a lot of women saying, oh, you're doing the right thing. Let's normalize leaving the kids with the dad. All this bullshit. But in reality, all this is a selfish ass woman. And she's just as selfish as all them deadbeat dads that will lay down with a girl, have unprotected sex. She gets pregnant and then they run away from their responsibility.
And here are some examples of what he's talking about.
I see women on this app like crashing out because of how horrible like their ex-husbands are, their baby dads are, just like ruining their life and just, you know, making their life so difficult. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so horrible what those women are going through. And now I'm one of them. I filed for divorce 2 months ago. I've been trying to look for an apartment, and the places that I'm looking at, I need to make 3 times the rent to be able to rent them. And unfortunately, with my job, I'm a CNA. I don't make 3 times the rent. So I need a child support order to be able to add to my income so I can meet the requirement. And I've been trying to get into some sort of settlement with my soon-to-be ex-husband on that. And basically, he is blackmailing me, I guess. He wants me to sign away all rights I have to his military retirement. He is in the Army. He has been in for 18 years. He'll be retiring in 2 years. And I've been married to him the entire time. So the retirement's a marital asset, so I am entitled to part of it. We've been going back and forth and fighting about it, and I just can't take it anymore. I just want to leave. I just want to move out, and I just want to start my life over. So I offer to sign away my right to the military retirement in return for spousal support and the entirety of the savings account that we have.
Huh?
It's just not worth it dealing with someone else every single day of your life. Every day. Every day you gotta deal with somebody. Is marriage even worth it? It's not. It's not. At some point, you're gonna realize that it's always best to just be alone. Because I've been married for about 7 years, and I don't even know if this is worth it. Like, and not saying that there's anything necessarily wrong. There's nothing wrong, and that's the point. Like, I don't even know why I'm upset. I'm just...
You know, usually I let it play a little further than that, but I was waiting for the part where she just gave us like the whole spiel about what he doing to her, how he molly-whopping her, and maybe he got 7 chicks on his side, maybe he brought her a disease, bad father, bad gambler, lost the house, maybe lost his business, got laid off from his job, play video games every day, smoke, can't pass a drug test, something. Like I was waiting on the bad guys. And she said it's nothing.
It's like not thinking that I made the right decision. Like, and I have a good man. I do. And that's not the point. The point is, it's like, you really do lose yourself. You lose your sense of individuality. You lose your sense of peace. And this could be even to a good man. Like, you're gonna lose something, and I don't think it's worth it.
What?
I left my husband. I left my kids. And I moved to a whole new city. A whole new state, rather. Just me. No one else. And I didn't move because I didn't love them, but I finally decided to love myself too. And so for years, like I put myself on the back burner, you know, just being a mom, being a wife, which is great, you know, that's awesome. But, you know, all this time, like I was wearing a smile, but deep down, like I wasn't really happy inside, you know? And so one day I realized that I couldn't keep living a life that made everyone else comfortable while I was crumbling inside.
So it was all of that, you know, together that gave me that, you know, aha moment.
What were you the most afraid of? Stepping in, because this is, you're stepping in, because some people when you say, oh, my husband and I are going our separate ways, they go, oh no, oh that's sad. But you actually see this as
a celebration.
A celebration.
I really do. I look at it as one of my friends, she sent this beautiful letter to me from a woman who got a divorce. And it's all about, you know, this perspective, in my opinion, and just changing the narrative. You know, my marriage was a success. Yeah. I look at it as like a curriculum when you're in college or high school, right? You're learning, you're growing, you're evolving, you're creating. And I was able to create with Corey some beautiful, amazing children. And at the end of that curriculum, and at the end, there's a graduation, there's a celebration. So that's basically, you know, how I'm looking at it now. And I feel like people look at, when they look at marriage, that success equals longevity. But no, at the end of the day, it's, are they happy? Are they thriving? Are they growing? And I feel like that is what is most important.
Once again, guys, a lot of men go through hell when a divorce happens. So, like I said, it's easy for women to say what they're saying when they aren't the ones who has to lose it all. Let's continue.
So as long as you stop talking about my divorce, we'll stop talking about
you go. I don't know if you want to moderate, but I'm trying to be respectful.
Bring up my divorce. This is the one that
gonna make me revert back to being bruiser again, and I don't want to do that on this platform no more. I turned over a new leaf. Okay, so let me finish saying what I was saying. So to summarize what I was saying, when you ask a question in this nature from the position of where a man has to give his perspective, it's important for some of the women to just shut up and listen. Because we're trying to give you the game on here on how we think. You wouldn't otherwise get if you didn't have the luxury of being able to talk to us. But whenever you give us the time to be able to explain ourselves on how we think when we're making a critical decision to get in marriage, it is a such thing that we actually consider these factors before we making a life-changing decision. And whether or not we can actually deal with a woman based off of what she's given us is important. And we know that a lot of women be on their representative in the beginning whenever we're trying to select and vet them out to actually seal the deal at the altar. We keep it a space in our mind to be able to compensate for the fact that she might change up on us. So we do consider divorce because it's likely to happen in this era. This is the one era that is most likely to happen out of all the eras. And we're just seeing it way too often to turn a blind eye to it. And we have a group of women growing that's trying to convince us to not consider those factors so we can set ourselves up for failure and set our sons up for failure. And we just don't want to do that. So I'm one of those guys that are going to continue to hold the line. And I'm not doing it out of just saying it. I'm doing it out of integrity and credibility. I'm speaking from a position of where I'm living at, and I have a history of the things that I'm talking about. You can go ahead and check my resume. So guys who listening, you can listen to me, a man who's not afraid to show his wife, not afraid to present his lifestyle to the public, and can actually take time out of his life to go and push the narrative. Or you could listen to a woman who's scorned, bitter, angry, and alone, and failed. Your choice.
Definitely don't want to attack Bo at all. I don't think Bo was a part of the conversation we were having before we went live. But me and Ms. Taken actually talked about this particular thing, and she asked him, me, if I was married or if I was seeking to be married, and I actually did bring up the concern of divorce in all actuality. So I'm speaking to what Darwin is saying, that the assessment of the approach to marriage for most men, we don't just look at one side, we look at the other side as well. That's just wise, only because of the fact that you don't carry a marriage as an individual, you carry it as a unit. So there's two people. And unfortunately, we have to take into consideration that this person, this woman who I'm going to end up with may arrive at the decision to want to leave. That's just reality. I think that there's room for that, but I'll laugh.
I actually kind of I agree with both, but I do also agree with understand Bo's perspective that if every time, not saying that you don't factor that, I think women factor that as well. Because
hey man, look, it's just so funny that Bo brings up that, hey, listen, you're talking about combative women. We're not talking about combative women. Talk about your women this and your women that. Talk about all of the good women. And it's just like all of the piss poor women are the ones that are saying we shouldn't be talking about the piss poor women. Of course, right? When majority of your black women and when majority of your women here in America are just piss poor. Right now, granted, like I said, what I mean by piss poor, they have a very bad mindset. I would say 90-70% of women here in America are feminists, and that's just my simple opinion. Because when you just simply ask a lot of these women, "Hey man, how do you feel about pick-me's, or how do you feel about traditional women?" and you start to really get into the depth of the conversation, you will start to see that, oh man, you have been radicalized by some feminists. You're going to have some men who are extreme. You're going to have some say, hey, I don't mind cleaning up, but we still the same. We're still the equal. Like, bro, no, we're not. That's still feminist ideology. Like I said, I mean, she's saying, hey, don't talk about combative women. Whole time, I'm pretty sure you would say you're not a combative woman, right? And this is the issue that we have with women as a whole. They would like to sit here, they would like to play victim, but then jump on here and act as if they're intellectual, act as if they know what they're talking about. Bo, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just talking out the side of your neck just because you want to play a victim. Grow up. As I stated before, damn near every video I've reacted to with Bo in it, she plays the victim. And like I said, this is the majority of your women. You see this in the workforce all the time. The second you offend a woman in the workforce, you are under hot water. And it's just like, bro, just take your ass home. Just go home. We don't need you here. Just go home. Just go freaking home, bro. Because why is it the second you come in here, now all of a sudden, man, harassment rates are going up, falsely accusing men. Now people being misinterpreted, being perceived a certain way. It's just sad, man. The second you start bringing women into a male-dominated space. I'm sorry, but Bo is proving it. Mistaken is proving it. Notice how when Bo gets done owning and complaining and talking about nothing, she literally puts the phone down and just literally looks down. But yeah, you see all of the other adults being engaged. And this is like, once again, these are the same women that will swear up and down they're the most college educated, they're the smartest, they're the most intellectual, they have better, they have better control of the emotions. Whole time, this is what you get from a lot of your sisters, what you get from a lot of your women. It's sad.
It is a potential reality, right? But I also think when you are having those conversations, if most of the conversation is fear-based, so when you're talking about planning for a divorce, like all of those things, to me, that's coming from a fear-based mindset of already prepping your mind that more than likely my marriage won't work. So if you're already planning your escape, you're not planning for the betterment of the marriage. Like the conversation around the divorce, we're going to have those it appears that we are having those conversations more, as opposed to having the conversations around marriage and sometimes the barriers or the struggles that go within a marriage and what to do when that happens, so we never get to the divorce. That's where I think the conversations need to shift. I'm not saying not factor that in, but are you factoring in how do we overcome the changes that go on in a marriage? If she happens to change, what season is he in that I'm going to have to deal with? If we're having conversations around that, then a lot of times the divorce part won't even come into play because we're prepping for the marriage. It seems
Can I ask you a question,
are
Mr.
prepping for the divorce.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? So the reason, and the biggest reason why I include divorce or any of those things that could cause us to separate as a couple in the conversation early on is because I've had the luxury to have conversations with the lead attorney so many times. We even met and we just talk about this stuff about the number one mistake men make is not having the protection going in. What mistake do men keep making that lawyers profit from? Like this is the biggest payout.
The number. All right, there's two biggest payouts. One I like to keep for myself, but I ain't gonna gatekeep. I'm gonna tell you the secret. I'm gonna tell you the secret. But the one that I normally put out is divorce lawyers make probably 90% of their income on the fact that you guys refuse to get prenups. You just refuse. Things would go so much quicker, so much easier, so much less expensive if everybody had a prenup, but you guys refused to get one. And because of that, my mortgage is $6,500 a month and I can pay it. You guys make things so expensive on yourselves. And it's not just all saving your asset. I'm not even talking about what the man actually gets with the prenup. I'm just talking about the speed of the case. We're not talking about nothing. Everybody knows who gets what. Let's split it down the line. Let's get in and out. Why are we arguing about the valuation of businesses? Why are we arguing about how the equity of the rental home is going to be split up? Why are we arguing about who's going to choose the real estate agent to sell the marital house? Why are we arguing about this at $300, $400, $500, $600 an hour? It doesn't make any sense. Put all that stuff in the prenup. You already know what the divorce is going to look like. I'm mad as hell. A divorce that costs you $40,000 could cost you $5,000 with the prenup. I mean, it can reduce it by so many times. So that's the number one thing. That's part A of the number one thing that causes men to pay so much more money to us attorneys. You guys just refuse to get prenups. And hey, we'll keep collecting your money and putting our kids through college while y'all crying about alimony and child support. Y'all giving us the money. So we'll keep doing it.
So what divorce or the talks about having issues that you can't overcome, the likelihood of it, just having that protection, just having the prenuptial agreement set up, it just makes things more safer. I give a man a more ease of mind when he's making a decision, because if we look at what the reality is and what has happened, people file for divorce. I'm not saying it's going to happen to me or the next guy, but people file. And the worst thing for men specifically is not being prepared for it. And sometimes, most of the time, prepared means having a premarital agreement. And that's all I was just trying to convey.
Now, the truth is, yes, you could, but see, I guess that's where I'm getting at. I'm not saying, like, thinking logically. When we were backstage, me and True, we were talking about setting up, premarital situations, or coming up with agreements of how this is going to run. But see, a lot of times when we are getting married, we're having those conversations, right? About if we get divorced. But how often, in ask the lead attorney, since you have a relationship with him, ask him, out of those divorces, how many of them, if he were to, have those conversations with the couple, did they sit down and plan out the stuff that I'm talking about? Well, what happens when we have a disagreement? Well, what happens when you might come into this phase of life? What happens if this, and set up a plan for that? I think that is the bigger issue.
Yeah, we had those.
Because between the asking of getting married to the point that you end up in a divorce, we're planning for the wedding, we're planning for the divorce, but nobody's planning for the in-between, the marriage itself. And that's why the divorce happens.
Well,
because we don't have a plan.
I could assure you that the conversations also talk about how to mitigate conflicts and I guess varying decisions between a couple. We talk about that all too. We don't just talk about the end in the beginning. We also talk about how to communicate and work out through problems, or get counseling whenever y'all two can't figure it out. This is a lot of things that I've practiced myself. So these are well within the conversations when we talk to the lead attorney. Like, I don't even think I need to mention the man has practiced for 20 years, so he knows a lot about it, the inner workings of relationship, how to get through that and mediate through it and all that stuff. But the premarital agreement still stands strong as a essence of protection for not just the man but the woman too. Because I think earlier we had actually brought up divorce, and it's funny that whenever I brought it up, it was a problem. But we did mention in the essence of protecting the woman, and the woman not being left out in the streets with nothing. It was fine and dandy when we talked about that. But even whenever I mentioned premarital agreements, I didn't mention just for protection of the man. It was also protection for the woman, so that she can get properly educated with the skills to be able to sustain herself from being out of work or being away from, just being gainfully employed in society for 20 or X amount of years. So the premarital agreement protection is something that I don't know why we avoid it so much, but I think it needs to be a part of the conversation, and not always a negative connotation to it, a way of escape. It's more like a way to be prepared in case things happen. Because if you look at life, we have all the preparation for all these other things. But when it comes to how we deal with one another, we don't want to prepare for the things that could potentially happen with that.
Hey, did Darwin bring up her divorce? I mean, I know he only brought it up one time, and that's because it had something to do with the point. But once again, guys, this is great. This is great because we get to see how a lot of you women operate. You are now going to say that he constantly brings up your marriage. I mean, ma'am, like, are we serious? He didn't bring it up not once in this conversation. Let's just say if he did before. He didn't bring it up not once. He didn't bring it up all the time in this conversation. He brought it up once to make a point, and that's because you're being rude and disrespectful. And then once you're met with the same rudeness and disrespectfulness you got them through out there, now all of a sudden it's an issue. And once again, notice how she would probably consider herself one of the most college educated women out here, but all she can do is just curse. Ridiculous, right? But it just shows the type of sister that she is. Notice how Bo is pretty much telling Darren and other men, you should not be talking about divorce, but then you're going to turn around and you're going to try to switch the whole conversation and tell us what we're going to talk about because you're in your feelings.
I guess that's what I'm getting at, the potential. So I think the in-between between the getting married and getting divorced is the potential, and we don't plan for the potential part. The marriage, that's where all of the work in a marriage occurs. It doesn't occur in the very beginning when you walk down the aisle and say, I do. And it doesn't happen at the end when you get the divorce. It's over. And I think for me, and just not, I can't even just say for me, just from people that I know who are currently married and people who have been through a divorce, that when they look back at it and we're talking about it, it's like, well, I didn't really know what to do. Like they're going through a marriage as a happenstance. And so they don't have the skills, they don't have the tools, they don't have the things to kind of figure out the in-between part and making some agreements ahead of time. Now, I'm not saying that my marriage had been perfect and, you know, we didn't have ups and downs and we didn't have these things, and that we grew to learn how to develop some of the skills. But I think our conversations ahead of time and things like that kind of help sustain that. And like my parents are the only ones out of my mom's siblings who ever got divorced. So for me, my mindset, I didn't even think about a divorce. Now his parents were divorced too, but his mindset was the same, like divorce is not an option. So what are we going to do in between so we can avoid this, regardless of what happens? And I mean, we're 22 years in, so we're on our way. But, you know, I can't speak for the future. We may run into some other stuff that we've never, encountered before. But because we have a history of saying, okay, stuff happened, what's the game plan? How are we going to figure it out? That I would think that if the whatever next comes up, that we would still use those same skills that we developed. But nobody talks about that.
I mean, there are people who discuss it. They have things like premarital counseling, but I think on average, people do prepare for the beginning and the possibility of the end instead of saying, like, how do we communicate when we argue? How do we do this? How, when the kids come along, how do we want to raise the kids? You know, when they get to high school, when we get elderly, different things, you know, if we get sick. Instead, it's just the beginning and the end instead of focusing heavily on the middle, the actual marriage, so that the probability of divorce is so much less and less likely. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I agree with that, and like my whole plan here, whenever I came to this conversation, was not to beat up on nobody or become an enemy or anything like that. It was just to elaborate on my own perspective and how I can insert it based off of the work I do off of the platform. And I would say the benefit of me having conversations about, you know, how to deal with, you know, issues before I even got married has helped me sustain a marriage. Because again, nobody likes to talk about, okay, what do you do whenever it's time for y'all to get a mortgage, and she want to spend over 15% of y'all total income on a monthly income on a mortgage, and potentially put y'all at odds when it comes to expenses. Are you gonna? And she says she really likes that house. Are you gonna say no? You know, we got to do this because of finances. Like being able to navigate those things. A lot of my content, I talk about a lot of that stuff in my content, just navigating within the relationship. So it isn't. I don't restrict myself to the end and beginning, but I think, right. And when we have these conversations and people start talking, people got their own perspective. We just got to respect that they got their own perspective, and they're not necessarily going to curate what they say to what you like to hear. And I think if we can navigate through that, this show right here on the Peep Network and the audience listening, they have a better experience.
I think you were fine giving your input on all these different topics. And of course, there's going to be people who don't agree. I think where it went off the tracks is when you brought up Bo's divorce and her failure. That's a very harsh thing to say. And plus, this is a debate. This is a place for conversation. There's no need to integrate. Maybe it was a failed marriage for her, but from what we know of you now is that you have a failed marriage also. Unless the both of you, for whatever reason, feel comfortable to bring that up with each other and know that's okay, I feel that's inappropriate. And that was a low shot because the discussion was not about Bo's past marriage or failed marriage. It was about the topic of marriage and also at the time divorced. So nobody has issue with you speaking on what your values are or are not. It's just that I'm sorry, but I have to say something that was out of line and absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah, that it was unnecessary, but I would say determining whether it was unnecessary it's contingent upon the person that's looking at it. You thought it was unnecessary.
I mean, what
And
purpose did it serve?
well, I think the purpose.
Accountability, Darwin.
Well,
You said
if
that
I
you
can
want to turn over
respond,
a new leaf.
I would say the purpose that it served was, I think it did what I wanted it to do. I think it shut her up, and she's quiet now, and I that's what I was hoping for.
But
It
that's not
wasn't
where
wrong.
we're
Was it
here. We're
wrong?
here to communicate.
Don't fall for it. Don't fall for
Yeah,
it.
don't, Bo.
Look. Listen, I agree with you that it was.
Dirty.
No,
I just
listen,
wanted him to know I'm still here. I'm cool.
I agree with you, Kiana, that it was wrong. It was a low blow. But if you're trying
I
to
think
convince
you're
me
telling that to the wrong person, though. You should be telling that to Bo because Bo didn't come at you bringing up your failed divorce
that you don't
immediately.
want to talk to me right now, but
Okay.
what I'm
No, but it's you talking to her. You can open that door.
Let me say this.
Well,
there's absolutely no need for him to ever apologize to me.
I wasn't trying to
Darwin
apologize.
did that as a dig. Darwin did that to get up under my skin. And yes, mistaken, I definitely fell for it. I did. It was, but the thing is that it always has to be my divorce, right? Like it can't be anything else about me. Darwin never brings anything up good about me. Darwin only ever brings up my divorce. Darwin only ever brings up things to dig at me. And so that's what I noticed today. He uses things as a weapon in order to get people riled up, right? That's what he does. And so now I'm realizing that. Now I'm realizing Darwin ain't never been cool with me. Darwin has always done this. He has always used these things in order to make himself look like he knows what he's talking about. And I'm okay with that. It's cool. So you can paint me as bitter, you can paint me as a failure, you can paint me as all of these things. I don't hear Darwin saying anything positive about me. And that is not someone that means me any good, which means that that's not someone that requires that amount of energy from me anymore. I can't give anyone any energy that does not mean me any good. And I'm cool with that. Like literally when Mistaken was like, don't fall for it, it clicked. And I was like, shit. So I'm cool. I'm cool. Don't ever apologize to me. I'm cool. You did what you wanted to do. It got the reaction that you wanted. I'm really glad for you. And that was a good finale for us. That was a great finale for us, for you in particular. So I'm gonna let you have it. You can continue to paint me as bitter and a failure and a divorced woman, and I'm living in my failure. And I'm cool with that because I know what my daily life is like, and you don't, because you don't know anything about me personally. You've never inquired. You've never been concerned. You only ever defended a man that hurt me very, very badly. That's the only thing I've ever seen from you is you bring up my divorce and you defended that man. So I'm cool. I'm great. Thank you, Mistaken. Really, thank you for saying that because it literally just clicked when you said that to me.
All right, let me try to respond to you, Kiana, what you said earlier. First of all, as a man who practiced accountability, I could agree that I did take a low blow. But am I going to apologize about it? No, because that's what I wanted to do. I'm also a man of my word at the same time. Yes, that's what I wanted to do because he was barking up the wrong tree when she started to attack what I was saying or attack my character and why I had a particular perspective. So sometimes you got to put people in their place. The second thing is, I don't know if you haven't been here long enough, but maybe you was watching earlier this year or this woman specifically has a habit of pouring out her experiences and her history in her life and her relationships. And then she dig at other people. I'm not the first person this happened to. There's a woman by the name of Dr. Lady O who took a low blow
I
on
love
her
Dr.
too.
Lady O.
Even though it wasn't warranted. I'm not going to say it wasn't warranted, even though it was also disrespectful in her response. But her specifically, she'll dig at people, knowing that she's putting her personal life on the line to be scrutinized and expect you not to touch it. And I didn't necessarily was strategic or try to meticulously touch on her divorce. Divorce was what we were actually talking about. So that's why it came to mind. You know, it's not like, oh, if we're talking about dating and trickery, I'm not going to say, well, you've been divorced. I'm just not going to throw that at it, but it had to relate to the topic. It had to be relatable to what we're saying. So because we brought up divorce, that's the reason why I just don't just hold a divorce card over her head like that. So that's another mischaracterization.
Okay. And I understand that. And you standing on your word, I respect that. And not only you standing on your word, but you admitting it was an intentional low blow. That's what you wanted to do. So, hey, that's between you guys.
And the reason why, and I kind of justify it as an intentional low blow because that particular question JR asked, it had to come from not only a man, it had to come from somebody who could speak from integrity. And she was not able to do that. That's the reason why it was justified for me to bring it up. She's not married. She haven't shown that she could secure a marriage long enough to substantiate even talking about it. So it had to be mentioned so she can close her mouth because she was just speaking out of order.
But Darwin, let's keep it real.
Hold on. Let me get the super chat so we can close out. And Marcus Evans, $465. What up, brother? Lapeef, Darwin, and brother Hink. And Darwin ain't lying about what he said. I want to thank everybody for contributing.
Before you end it, I need to say one thing on live on the record. It's just to Kiana, so it can be live because this is important. Kiana, if you stick around here long enough, you will have to hold your own here. This is not the first case where I've been attacked from my household, my marriage, my wife. I had 2 women on here attack me simultaneously in this year, and I had to defend my house and my wife. In my marriage on this.
And here come the agreeableness amongst your women, such as Miss Taken, right? And people like Miss Taken, this is the issue that I have with sisters like Miss Taken. If they will she's a type to either hold both man and woman accountable at the same time, or just hold a man accountable. But it's never no such thing as holding a woman accountable. These are the issues that you have with women because they're gonna automatically go to Bo's defense as if Bo was literally saying something, as if Bo was making common sense about anything she was saying. She wasn't. It's just all based off of emotions. You have a woman who is in her 40s, who is divorced in her 40s, constantly leading arguments with emotions, but yet you want to seem as if you're intellectual or college educated. Negro, please. If what Miss Taken was saying was true, once again, divorce rates wouldn't be high, right? And you wouldn't have so many women constantly crying and complaining about not being married, because guess what? They would understand what it takes to be in a marriage. I mean, she's saying that this is off of fear-based. This is fear-based. Well, of course, when most of your women are the ones who are initiating divorce, and this is something that your women like Miss Taken, that Bo are going to just be disingenuous about and just overlook, because once again, it holds them to a higher light than it holds men, because men, we're consistent. We're going to stay with our women. Right, even if there's one day we wake up and we don't feel like it, we're gonna stay with it. Whereas women, they're just gonna up and leave, and that's just their nature. But sad, man. Once again, all she's just proven is that a lot of our sisters cannot hold conversations. But do me a huge favor, let me comment, subscribe to the channel. To the next one.